So I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Kimora Scotland, and we're here to talk about endourology in resource-restricted environments. Thank you. Okay, so next we will have Dr. Leswek, who will give us some more tips and tricks.
Thank you, Kimora. Good morning, everyone. I would like you to have more interaction. So I think that if you have a question or you don't understand something, I would be happy to answer you. You can stop me and you agree? Yes. So I think I hope that we'll have more interaction. I want just to add a small comment for the presentation of Dr. Ihab. Of course, to avoid using the fluoroscopy for the rigid ureteroscope, you can see it with the ureteroscope. But also, what I tell to my resident and to my friends that I'm coaching is to use their hands. And we have we believe that we are the creation of God, and we are the Muslims in the Quran, and I think in all the other books, that all God is create only perfection. So we are a perfect machine. So if we found some shortcoming from us, it's just our education, how we grow up, how we auto-hypnosis that we are not good. So you had to train to feel the guide wire, and we can say that it reaches or not reaches the upper system without even see it. Of course, if we cannot pass below the stone. So I am from Meknes, Morocco, and I will skip this introduction. It was already said by our President Kimura. So how do we have cheap alternative? We have to be open-minded first, then we have to be ingenious. So you know very well that necessity is the mother of all inventions. And don't forget, to be inventive is not just to discover a device. More of the time it is to have idea, to optimize what we have in hand, to do a good organization and information and networking, and we can maximize what we have just by this, without any device. I will give you an example. Just you have a dish that you have done with potatoes, with tomatoes, with something like this. It don't taste good. We can have the same dish and you can do more power to organize it and it will taste good. So you have to work on this before. And also nowadays we have great tools to share and to have many communications. So by using social media, and I will give you an example. I am since 7 or 8 years, I am doing almost total voluntary work in Morocco and sometimes in Africa. And I was helping a friend, and we were doing ballistic lithotripsy in the ureter, and the probe broke. We don't have a spare. What will you do? You will end the procedure. Should I stay or should I go? Or you will try to find something else. Just entering to the operating room, they were doing some work, and I found this metallic rivet on the floor. So I thought, why not use it to do this tip, and we had continued the procedure. But that's not the beauty of it. The beauty of it is I have posted on LinkedIn. Just few minutes after, I had this very good answer, and they said, yes, we had already this, and we are using a bicycle spoke, especially for the nephroscope. So this is the beauty of it. I just give an idea, and I received few minutes after a very good idea. So we have to do it like this. And when you have an idea, an innovation, you have to push it through to find other ways to see if we can use it in other indication. So now the example that I gave, the probe was broken. But if we don't have this probe, this shaft at all, what will you use? So we had used the stiff hydrophilic guide wire, and we peel it, and it is very good thing. And also a guide wire with the stainless body, the Linderquist guide wire. And it works very good. Next year I will try to bring a video of it. Also, like I told you, most of the time we have to begin with an idea. You know from history that the first nephroscopy was published in 1941, and it was through an open surgery nephrostomy, and also the great work of Frenstrom and Johansson in 1976 that had pushed forward PCNL. But if we can analyze it, they don't have no technology, no special equipment. They weren't working at NASA or something. They just had an idea, and it is creative thinking, and they were courageous to use it. They were not ashamed. And also they had used equipment in a different indication, a cystoscope to do nephroscopy, and a forceps through the nephrostomy tract. And also they had maximized what they had available, and also they had shared the idea. In the time it was through publication, by publishing their article. So if we just follow this, I think I had finished my talk. You agree? So I will give you more some of the examples. I prefer always to use a safety guide wire through PCNL in endourology. So we do it, but we had many ways to do it by using small segment of this coil housing the guide wire. And this is the endoscopic view after puncture, insertion of a guide wire, and here you see this small segment, and you see another guide wire. And of course it has to be very small. This is 8 francs or 9 francs. This is the coil housing, the real Teremo, and this is for the Cook guide wires. 12 francs. It will be a little bit difficult to do it. So we can also do it through the Amplas dilator beside this Alkane Central Road. Or we can do it by putting a hole through a small Teflon dilator. And the guide wire will be outside the dilator. Of course, you have to push it too. And when we are in the kidney, the guide wire is grabbed, and then the small dilator is pushed, so it will go. We had 2 guide wires. But we can also use a feeding tube or a large double-G stent pusher, and I will be glad to have more idea from you. Also, I think you know the parallel access sheet where we can do with one guide wire at the end of the procedure. The guide wire is outside the access sheet, so we do it with percutaneously. Here with the ureteral catheter, which has a slit, lateral slit, and by pushing the dilator, the guide wire is dislodged. So nowadays, most of my percutaneous access are done like this. So like you see, the guide wire is clasped here, and we have no guide wire into the catheter. Also, you can use the same idea with the cystoscope for ureteroscopy. You don't need any coaxial or double lumen catheter, just a cystoscope which has 2 channels, and even if you have only 1 channel, you can insert 2 guide wires through 1 channel. Or you can use the same thing, the same segment of the house, the coil house and the guide wire, or an aspiration tube, and that's what I did. I was performing a workshop to show percutaneous endopieloplasty, and we have small bleeding. So by exploring the renal channel, we found this bleeding. So we thought it will be good to do some cauterization, but we don't have an laser or an endoscopic electrode. So what will we use? So we use the metallic stellate of a ureteral catheter. We have this with this large tip, brass tip, and it is doing the trick. Just you have to be sure you are seeing the ureteral catheter to avoid the electrocution, and also you have this is a monopolar coagulation, so you have to be just superficial, not to push your electrode. This is before and this is after, at the end of the procedure, no bleeding. There are many other use for this is for a bladder neck or for retrograde endopielotomy with the rigid ureteroscope, and for the bladder neck we do the Mercedes incision, 3 or 4 small incision, and I think it works better than one large incision. Here also for percutaneous endopielotomy or do a cautery in the renal pelvis. So to push forward, if I need an electrode through the flexible, the ureteral catheter is very large. What will we use? Do you have any idea? We had agreed in the beginning of my talk that it will be interactive. Graham.
I was just asked the question, and I was thinking about the last point.
Yes, what we will use as electrode through the flexible ureteroscope with only 3.6 French. And we have to leave some room for the irrigation.
Right. So I've been thinking about the guide wire.
Yes, that's what I have done. This is a hydrophilic guide wire. So we had peeled a little bit from the tip of the guide wire and from the end of the guide wire, and by applying the handle of the electrocautery unit. And this is retrograde endopielotomy with the flexible ureteroscope. And I'm sure that you will find many more ideas. We didn't have a laser at the time. So it's good to use the same instrument for many use. So since 2003 or 4, we were using the rigid ureteroscope as second or third access for PCNL. So after puncture and inserting a second guide wire, I used the rigid ureteroscope here, progression in the retroperitoneum until reaching the stone in the calyx, and the stone is pushed to the first access, which is extracted by the nephroscope. We have done also a small series of mini PCNL using a drinking straw. This is how to insert it. This is a 14 French drinking straw. And with the rigid ureteroscope, and the stones are extracted by the vacuum effect. So also for the nephroscope multi-use, this is a large incrustation of stones in the ureter and in the kidney. So nephroscopy from above and nephroscopy from below with the 20 French nephroscope. Here we had a problem, complication, a stone that goes into the thorax, and we have done a thoracoscopy with the nephroscope. We were really lucky to find the stone. It was very large, and also to treat a retrovesical hydrated cyst endoscopically or a kidney hydrated cyst. And there are many here to do a percutaneous nephroscopy, to do nephrolysis with the nephroscope, and we had passed a loop of wire, two-wire vicryl from the upper lower calyx to the upper calyx and under the skin to do nephropexy. So we can use it as a laparoscope. I have done it already to remove something in the abdomen from that was left by the gynecologist, or for bladder lithotripsy, or we already done it for retroperitoneal abscess. We have done also a corporeal vertebral biopsy with the nephroscope, and so on and so on. I need a basket. Graham, you will help me too here. So we're doing PCNL for staghorn calculi, and after we have finished the stone, and there is this lateral stone in the upper calyx. It was really far from the nephroscope. We had tried to dislodge it with aspiration, with the water jet. Impossible. We didn't have a basket. What will you do? Please help me. No, we don't have a flexible. Please, we need a basket. Is there a doctor in the house? Yes, of course, another puncture, but we don't want to do another puncture. So I took this really floppy hydrophilic guide wire, and we've done a basket here, and here we've been lucky. It catches the stones, and it was removed. So like I told you, we have to push forward. What will we use instead of the guide wire? Please, anyone? So in the operating room, we have many monofilament nylon, polypropylene, polydioxanone. You can use a fishing line. So here with the nylon basket, it was inserted through a coaxial or steerable the double G pusher from Porges, and you can use any brand. So it works great through the nephroscope, but I want to do it through the rigid, so it have to be smaller, less than 3 French, and also very long. What will you use? So just lately, less than a week ago, I had this idea to use it with this PTFE guide wire, and you've seen here, to fix it to the guide wire, you have to do a little break of the loops, the external loops of the guide wire. And here, of course, you have to backload it into the rigid ureteroscope, and you have to do a smallest knot possible in order for the basket to glide easily into the rigid ureteroscope. Here we use it through our glove model. All these all these videos are on my YouTube channel if you are interested. This is a glove model. We had a prize for it in SIU 2013. And here are some stones. Of course, we use the operating channel of the rigid ureteroscope as the outside sheath of the basket. Also, we can use it through the cystoscope, flexible cystoscope or flexible nephroscope. So it is the same with the flexible. And I will be very happy that someone gives me the idea of smallest possible knot to do it through the flexible ureteroscope. I was working with a friend, and after I have done the access, we didn't find this adapter, the light adapter, on the nephroscope. What will you do? So we had the idea to use a small segment of the funnel tip of the Foley catheter, and it works really fine. And my friend, since he found this, he didn't buy this metallic segment. I have done it with him many times, 4 or 5 times, and every time I said, but please buy the other thing. So we had this idea to do a micro nephroscopy needle. We had used this optic view from Cook Medical. This is a long, like a guide wire, but we can see it, and it transmits the light. This one. So what will we use? What needle will we use? How to adapt to irrigation? So we had used a prostate biopsy needle, 16 gauge. We had used this injection port of the this is the injection port of serum bag, and this is in a glove model, and this is in the patient. We have done exploration of a calyx to ensure that there are stones in this calyx. And it works very good. You are doing PCNL and you have this large extravasation of fluids. What will you do? We don't have a spare seal. So we've taken a patch from this rubber head of syringe. And it works just fine. We can also, on some nephroscopes, like larger one from stores, the whole syringe head. And now, the friends that I'm helping in Fes, in a public hospital, they are using only this. Cyril Kamanjo had said that you need this ureteral seal, but we don't have it, and it costs almost 20 to 30 euros. What will you use instead? I don't ask you anymore because nobody wants to help me. So we use this irrigation port from the serum bag, and it is really, really good. This is with the flexible nephroscope or with the flexible ureteroscope. Also, the rubber seal is very tight, so it impedes the large movements of the catheter or of the laser probe. How to adapt the ureteral catheter to the drainage bag by using only one bag. Or you can use this universal adapter. So, George Bernard Shaw had said that we cannot have progress if we don't change our minds. So, like I told you in the beginning, the first step is to open mind. So we have to have more meeting like this to share ideas and to open our minds before doing open doors, and to help our colleagues. And also, we have to emancipate ourselves from bad history and paradigm. And I like the songs from Bob Marley that he said, emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. So that is great, really is great. And also we have to teach our friends, our colleagues, our residents with no stress, and we have to gather many ideas of how to use economic use of the instrument and how to innovate. And this is my email, and I had more than 100 videos on my YouTube channel. And thank you. Do you have any questions? We have 5 seconds. No questions? Please.
We need a way to duplicate you. I need you in every operating system.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. And we have some time at the end as well for questions.